have, have you any idea what the term leverage means? You know, Archimedes once said, "Give me a lever long enough and a prop strong enough, and I can single handedly move the world." A lot of people don't understand how to use leverage, they don't understand their real value. And here's the facts. Now, a lot of people have heard me say on more than one occasion that you should really be marketing yourself. Uh, you're a commodity. Truck drivers are a commodity, and the owners of these trucking companies are not going to go out and haul these loads themselves. They have to have drivers. It is not a topic for negotiation. They have to have drivers, or their asses out of business. So you have leverage. Now, by marketing yourself, I've been doing this for X number of years. I haven't had any DOT issues. I've never had an accident. I don't drink, so I've not had any DUIs, no speeding tickets, blah, blah, blah. You get out there and blow your own horn. And you put these ads on social media, and believe me, $100 for ads on like Facebook, Instagram will go a long way. But you put these ads out there and you market yourself. Now, most businesses, the largest part, the largest one section of their annual budget is marketing. Since trucking companies don't really have to market to the public per se, they have sales departments, and they really only have to market themselves to shippers. So they don't need to have as large of a marketing budget for their companies. The largest, in my opinion, the largest section of the annual budget for any trucking company should be, without question, their drivers. Doesn't matter if you're a company driver, if you're owner operator that's leased on, if you're a lease purchase guy, whatever the case may be. The largest section of their annual budget for every single trucking company out here should be their drivers. The drivers should be the highest paid employees or contractors that they utilize. Until people can understand that and come to terms with that, until drivers understand this is a business and you have to understand what your role is in that business, things will never change. You can talk about break even points. Well, a lot of guys, believe it or not, do not understand what break even is. My wife and I recently were in Virginia. I believe we were like around Ruther's Glen or something like that, and in a TA listening to a guy at the next table talking to a guy across from him about breaking even, and what his break even point was, how much he had to make just to break even. And the man had no idea what the hell he was talking about. So until people in our positions, until drivers understand all of the ins and outs, they understand that this is a business, they understand that they need to know what their numbers are, things are never going to change. But you as an individual driver right now, you can use your leverage to better your position. If you're a company driver and you're making 50 cents a mile and you want to make 70 cents a mile, Well, then you need to start negotiating with your company that, listen, I can go down the street here and get 70 cents a mile. I can't live on 50 cents a mile. I can't take home enough money to support my family and plan for retirement and things like this on 50 cents a mile. And the same thing if you're working on percentage. Well, 70%. Well, 70% of nothing is nothing. You have to know what your percentage is based on, and the only way you're going to get that is by having what? A rate confirmation. So you have to know what they're billing for that load, so that you know what your 70% is. You know, there's a lot of people that go through life that just don't comprehend things. They just kind of go with the flow. And then 20 years down the road, they wonder, well, how the hell did I get here? Making some better decisions earlier upstream will help you be in a better position down the road. Things don't happen overnight. They take time. And you need to understand what the leverage is. You need to understand what position within the annual budget of these companies you are. What your role is, what your position is, and you need to be able to leverage that and capitalize on that. Realize what your worth is to a company, and build on that. You can go through life complaining about how bad things are, but as long as you go along with it, you're contributing to the problem. You have to, at some point, just make up your mind that, good, bad, or indifferent, come hell or high water, this is what I have to have. This is what I need to do to get where I need to be for me and my family, and stick to it, regardless of what may or may not happen. You have to stick to it, and for the long term, not just for a day or two, not just for a month or two. You need to stick to it for the long term. Until you realize that these trucking companies, they can have all the shippers in the world, but if they can't move the loads, it's of no benefit to them. So we, the drivers, regardless of what kind of driver you are, lease, purchase, company, owner, operator, whatever, we, the drivers, are the key element. You control these companies. Without drivers, these companies fold. They have no choice. If they can't move the freight, they can't move the loads, they ain't making any money. So you have to understand and appreciate the fact that everything is negotiable. If they're offering, if you go out and apply for a job somewhere, they're offering you $15 an hour. However, you need to make a minimum of $18 an hour in order to meet your monthly obligations. Well, $15 an hour ain't going to cut it for you. So you can say, listen, I appreciate your offer, but I can't live off of that. I have to have, at a bare minimum, $18 an hour. And there's nothing I can do to change that. Well, it's the same way for drivers. If they're offering you 50 cents a mile, or if they're offering you 70%, you need to know, if you're looking at percentages, you need to know, okay, how's that 70% work? Am I going to get 70% of the detention I'm supposed to get, 70% of the layover, or am I going to get 100% of the detention and 100% of the layover? Am I going to get 70% of the fuel surcharge, or am I going to get 100% of that? Because all of that impacts your bottom line. And You don't need to be worried about the company's bottom line. They're worried about their own bottom line. You need to worry about yours. And taking 50 cents a mile as a company driver, when in order to make ends meet at home, you need to make 70 cents a mile, then you're a damn fool if you settle for 50 cents a mile. You're cutting your own throat. It's costing you money to have that job because it's not paying you enough. I said that the largest part of annual budget for businesses is marketing. The highest paid staff for any trucking company has to be the drivers. Excuse me. There's no other way of looking at it. You can't not realize that and be in this business. It breaks my heart to see guys out here that have been out here for 15 years, 20 years or more, and they still don't get it. You see them, they're filing bankruptcy. They're talking openly about, I'm not making that. I got to go home and find me a job. You're away from your family and friends every single day when you're doing this job. So it needs to be worth your while. If being out here running these roads, putting up with all the bullshit, being treated like a second class citizen in a lot of places, if that is not putting adequate resources in your pocket, then you need to make a change. You need to realize that, and you need to make a change because uh, you're only hurting yourself by continuing on. Uh, I I don't understand why you would continue doing something that you may enjoy doing it, but it's not paying you enough to continue doing it. People think, a lot of you have commented in the past whenever I talked about marketing yourself, and you can think I'm crazy if you want to, but nobody is going to sing your praises but you. Nobody is going to appreciate your experience, your skill, things like that more than you. Whenever these trucking companies are looking at hiring drivers, they may have 200 applications that they deal with. They may have 15 recruiters out there that's trying to constantly recruit drivers, whether they need them or not. You have to do something to differentiate yourself from everybody else. You need to set yourself apart from everyone else. It's like, for almost 20 years, I was in the heat and air business. I was a mechanical contractor. And I retired from that after a number of years. And I had to market my company, not just to general contractors, but I also had to market it to homeowners for residential work. You know, nobody, someone once told me, don't brag because when you blow your own horn, you always tend to get the tune too high. And there's a lot of truth in that. However, there's a flip side to that as well. If you don't blow your own horn, who's going to? Whenever I was in the heat and air business, I used to look at things. I can be just as vanilla as everybody else. I can be just like all of my competition. Or I can do things differently and kind of separate myself from the competition, make my business stand apart from everyone else. And that's the way you have to approach this industry. I don't care what your position is. If you own your own truck and you're running under your own authority, like, you have to build those relationships with those brokers, or go out and solicit the shippers on your own and build those relationships. You have to make yourself, your business, stand apart from everyone else. And it's the same thing if you're a company driver looking for a job. It's the same thing if you're an owner operator that's leased onto a carrier or looking to lease onto a carrier. It's the same thing if you're a lease purchase guy. You have to promote and market you. You have to talk about your safety record. You have to talk about your driving record. You have to talk about your experiences and what's going to set you apart from other drivers that they're looking at. So, just be true to yourself, be true to your family, realize what your position is, and leverage that to your benefit. You're only hurting yourself if you don't. You guys be safe. Take care. I got to get rolling. I'll see you. Bye.